So we don't know what's in the report, so let's not speculate about that.
Sure.
If, in fact, nothing comes of this with respect to specifically the President of the United States, or for that matter, President Trump's campaign organization, what will Mr. Mueller have been accomplished? Was it worth it?
I think that it's important to recognize, and the public should recognize, that whether or not Bob Mueller brings charges within the core of the mandate, what we've, I guess, referred to in the past as Russia collusion. I think you can say a number of things. One is that there's been a full and fair investigation, that from beginning to end it was accomplished within the span of 24 months, which I think is desirable and in the public interest, and I think is in notable contrast to other investigations that have lingered on for years without much in the way of results once the initial phase of an investigation has been concluded. I think the second thing you can say is that it's been remarkable over the span of that time that there have been little, if any, public pronouncements by Bob Mueller's office, and I think that's a significant accomplishment in the current environment. And I think also there's no question, as a result of the cases that he's already brought, that there is validation of the fact that there were a high-level coordinated effort by the Russian government to attempt to penetrate the U.S. electoral system. And that's a significant thing on its own, whatever the future may bring, that is important to recognize. And then, as far as what the Mueller report will actually indicate, I don't think there's much question that one way or another the Congress will receive findings from the Mueller investigation on the question of, a number of things, including potential obstruction of justice, and also a look at the campaign finance system. Whether those amount to criminal charges or not, obviously, in its oversight capacity, Congress has a job to do there. What they choose to do with that ultimately, at least in the first instance, will be in the hands of the House of Representatives.
Once again, putting aside whatever may come about with respect to Russian collusion, as you call it, and most people do call it that, does the Justice Department and the FBI come out of this stronger or weaker? Is this upholding the rule of law and that we have independence, or does it undermine it?
Rod Rosenstein's decision in that environment in the opening months of the Trump administration, in light of what had happened to the former FBI director, Jim Comey, and given the Attorney General's recusal, was a judgment by him that only a special counsel could credibly conduct this investigation. And I think with the benefit of hindsight and history, maybe it's a little too early to tell, but I suspect in the future we will look back upon that decision as a courageous and necessary decision, one which really only someone of Bob Mueller's caliber could fairly conduct an investigation over a span of 2 years with little or any, improper partisan political purpose to it, to reach appropriate conclusions. Now, we don't know what those conclusions are. I suspect that they're going to fall short of what a lot of people's expectations were, maybe at the outset, about, we're going to have a raft of indictments and so forth about campaign finance violations or things that, get to the heart of the mandate regarding Russia collusion and whether or not there was an orchestrated endeavor, conspiracy to collude with Russians in terms of affecting the outcome of an election. But that doesn't mean that there weren't significant events that did occur and that should be of concern to most Americans. No one's going to be completely satisfied, but most Americans to say, let's take a look at that. How can we prevent that from happening in the future, and how can we do better?
Yeah, there'll be an interesting after-action report on all this.
Sure.
Whether the statute or whatever.
But I think there seems to be a consensus around most people that we should, get to the finish line and get to the end.
Yeah.